I'm Ryan. I'm the head painter and artist at Customs. I really love to work on motorcycles. Ever since I was knee-high, I loved two-wheel.
For years, Ryan Evans worked quietly on counting cars. He did not talk much, but his work spoke loudly. He painted cars like no one else could. Every design and every line was perfect. Then one day, he was just gone. No goodbye, no answer, just gone. So what happened to Ryan Evans? Let's dive into it. Gone, without a word. Of all the faces to pass through the world of custom cars, very few left a mark like Ryan Evans. He never tried to be the loudest in the room. That was never his style. While others revved engines and cracked jokes for the camera, Ryan stayed in the back, focused, precise, and quiet. On counting cars, Ryan was not just another guy in the shop. He was the heartbeat of the artwork. Every custom flame, every detailed skull, and every burst of color usually came from his hands. Danny, the Count Coker, brought the energy and charm, but Ryan brought the finishing that made it all unforgettable. They were working on different sides of the same machine, but together they made it work. That is why when Ryan vanished from the screen, people noticed. In one episode, he was there, focused, hands steady, adding detail to a motorcycle tank. The next, he was gone. No message, no send-off, no final shot of him wiping his hands and walking out the door. Just silence. For fans who had followed him for over 10 years, it did not sit right. The shop was still running, and Danny still showed up, but the man behind the paint had disappeared. People asked questions. Was he tired of the cameras? Did something happen behind the scenes? There was no official word, not from Ryan or the show. His Instagram slowed, and appearances at car events stopped. Ryan was always different. In a world full of noise, he stayed quiet, and he never chased the spotlight. Maybe that is why, when it got too bright, he walked away. Perhaps he needed space. Maybe he was never in it for fame at all. Now he is primarily a mystery. Fans still hope for a return. They still ask about him. His legacy on the show remains untouched. Those wild rides and flawless finishes, those are his fingerprints. Maybe one day he will speak, or perhaps he will just keep creating, far from the cameras, exactly how he likes it. So what happened that made the man behind the paint disappear? We will explain it all in a bit. Stay tuned. How Ryan got on the ride. Ryan Evans was born in Los Angeles, California. He grew up with a love for drawing, skateboarding, and anything that moves on wheels. Later, he made his way to Las Vegas, where custom cars and bikes were everywhere, and so were the chances to do something bold. Ryan never chased the spotlight. He wasn't trying to be on TV. Long before the cameras showed up, Ryan was already painting. People around Las Vegas knew him as the guy who could turn metal into art. His style was clean, detailed, and different. He didn't just paint cars. He told stories with color. At that time, Danny the Count Coker was running his shop, Count's Customs, and also showing up now and then on Pawn Stars. His energy was wild. He loved cars, bikes, music, and anything with a strong personality. When the network gave him a chance to make his show, Danny said yes, but he needed a strong team. He needed people who could build and design, not just for TV, but for real. That's when Ryan came in. They had crossed paths before, but Vegas wasn't a big place for custom car people, and Ryan's paintwork stood out. Danny had seen some of his bikes and cars and knew right away that Ryan was different. Every design Ryan touched had balance. Every flame and skull seemed to belong there. So Danny brought him in. Initially, it was just to assist with painting. Then, the producers saw how good Ryan was, and they liked him. Without trying, Ryan became part of the show's rhythm. He wasn't cast as an actor. He was hired like a craftsman. He didn't do screen tests or flashy intros. He just started showing up in the background, painting, airbrushing, and perfecting. Over time, viewers noticed. He didn't talk much, but when he did, it mattered. People liked him because he was real. On screen, Danny brought the energy. Ryan brought calm. They balanced each other. You had the rock and roll car guy and the artist who stayed grounded, no matter how crazy the builds got. The producers gave Ryan more time on camera. Slowly, fans started to learn his name. They saw his work and wanted to know more. That's how Ryan got on counting cars. No big plan, no chase for fame, just talent meeting the right moment. More than just paint a brush. That was all Ryan needed to turn a car into something unforgettable. He was not loud, he was not flashy, he just worked. Paint was his language. Long before the show came around, Ryan had already found his lane. He mixed art with machines in a way most people could not. His mind was sharp. His eye for detail was even sharper. He could fade a flame so smooth it felt like it came from the factory. His work was not just about looking cool. It told a story. When Counting Cars began, it required more than just cars and jokes. It needed style, and that came from Ryan. He was not brought in to make people laugh. He was brought in to create. While Danny Coker played the rock star, Ryan stayed calm, focused, and still. They balanced each other. Ryan's style was quiet but powerful. He did not need drama to be noticed. He let the work speak. Flames, skulls, ghost images, and candy paint, he did them all. No matter how strange the idea or how short the deadline, Ryan came through. Danny trusted him with the biggest jobs for a reason, and he always delivered the right results. He looked like someone you would remember. Flat hat, black gloves, paint-stained hoodie, always locked in and always working. He was always seen with a small smile, a dry joke, and sometimes a sharp comment right after finishing a perfect design. That became his signature. While others pushed for screen time, Ryan stayed behind the scenes, by choice. Over time, something changed. Viewers started watching for the paint jobs. They came for the drama, but stayed for the art. Ryan became a fan favorite without trying. People wanted his autograph at shows and events. The lines for Ryan sometimes stretched just as long as Danny's. Some brought shirts, others brought helmets, and some even brought their cars, hoping Ryan would paint them too. His work had touched them, and his designs had meaning. These were not just cars anymore, they were memories, and that kind of connection cannot be faked. What made Ryan special on camera may be the same thing that made it hard to stay there. He gave everything to his work. Every job was personal. He was not chasing fame. He was chasing perfection. Some fans just wanted to meet the man who made old cars feel like fine art. He never acted like a star. When people approached him, Ryan was always kind, quiet, and even thanked them. He was always smiling. Nonetheless, it was clear that he was not seeking attention. He never had. He just loved the work. To Ryan, every ride was a canvas. Even if that canvas was a gas tank or a classic muscle car, he treated it like something special. The work mattered more than the fame. That was always clear, but things began to change. The schedule got tighter. Jobs that once took weeks were now squeezed into just a few days. Some could adjust, others could cut corners, but Ryan never worked that way. He gave each job his full focus, and that kind of art takes time. Losing that time meant losing part of what made his work feel right. People close to the shop started to notice. So did fans. By the year 2021, something felt off. Ryan showed up less and less on screen. Sometimes he was only in the background, sometimes not at all. The final shots of a build and the big reveal moments rarely showed his face. Online, fans quickly caught on. Car forums, fan pages, and YouTube comments all had one question that kept coming up. Where's Ryan? The show did not answer. He just faded out. When work stops feeling right for a long time, no one knew why Ryan Evans was no longer on Counting Cars. He didn't speak out, and the show didn't explain. There was no goodbye scene, no message to the fans. One day, he was simply not there. At first, many thought it was a short break. Maybe he was working on something behind the scenes. Perhaps he was ill or traveling, but as more episodes aired and Ryan still didn't appear, people began to ask serious questions. Online forums lit up. Fan pages started guessing. "Where's Ryan?" became the most common comment under old clips and photos. No one had a clear answer, so people filled in the blanks. Some believed he had a falling out with Danny the Count Coker. Maybe they disagreed over money. Others thought he got tired of the cameras and the pressure of being on TV. A few even worried about his health, though no reports ever confirmed that. There were more rumors, too. Some said Ryan had opened his custom paint shop. Others believed he had taken a job with another prominent builder elsewhere in Las Vegas. One theory claimed he had moved out of the city completely to live a quieter life off the grid. None of these were ever confirmed, but the longer he stayed off the screen, the more people speculated. What made things even more confusing was that Counting Cars never addressed it. There was no on-air goodbye, no farewell scene, no mention from the crew or cast. It was just silence. However, fans noticed those little things. It felt as though he had vanished as the silence lasted. Ryan had always been a quiet person. He didn't seek attention, so when he went quiet, it didn't feel strange until it stretched on too long. Over time, the truth started to show itself, not in a headline, but in small details shared by those around him. People close to the Las Vegas car scene said Ryan was fine. He was still painting and still doing what he loved. He just wasn't doing it for television anymore. The reason, according to those who worked near him, came down to one thing: time. In the early days of counting cars, Ryan had the freedom to create. Paint jobs were not rushed. He had time to make them right. Every detail was checked. Every design had meaning. He treated each build as an art form, and the producers allowed him to work that way because they knew the results were worth the wait. However, television changed. As the show gained popularity, the pace increased. There were more deadlines, more pressure, and more episodes to shoot. Projects that once took weeks now had to be done in days. Ryan tried to keep up, but for someone who cared so deeply about the details, the change was difficult. He wasn't just a painter, he was a craftsman. When that level of care was no longer possible, something shifted. Painting under pressure is nothing new in the car world. Many builders deal with tight timelines, but for Ryan the work was personal. If he couldn't give his full attention to a design, it didn't feel right. If he couldn't stand back, look at the piece, and feel proud, he didn't want to do it at all. The speed of television didn't match his pace, and what fans saw as entertainment began to feel like a grind behind the scenes. Paint jobs were still getting done, but the process no longer fed him the same way. The joy of creation was replaced with pressure to deliver fast. He began to lose the part of the work that made it special. To Ryan, painting was never about just coloring metal. It was about building emotion, telling stories, and making a connection through art. When that connection started slipping away, the meaning did too. Some say Ryan could have stayed and adjusted. He could have handed off more work or accepted the new pace, but that wasn't who he was. He never wanted just to finish a job. He wanted to make something special. Walking away wasn't easy. He had spent years helping to shape the look of the show, and his work had become an integral part of what made Counting Cars stand out. However, in the end, he chose peace over pressure. This wasn't about fame or money. Ryan never seemed interested in either. He didn't care about trending clips or reality TV moments. He cared about the paint and about the feeling of getting it just right. When that was no longer possible, he stepped back. Some fans still hope for a clear answer. They want a statement, a final word, but Ryan hasn't given one, and maybe he never will. That silence, in a way, explains everything. His decision to leave was not a dramatic moment. It was a quiet choice, a way to protect his craft from becoming something he didn't recognize. According to those who have seen him recently, he appears to be at peace. He continues to paint, taking on select projects, collaborating with local builders, and mentoring new artists. The work hasn't stopped. Only the cameras have. Ryan's world now moves at his speed. No producers are watching the clock. No deadlines that cut corners. Just him, his tools, and the metal in front of him. Some say he might return to television one day. He hasn't ruled it out. He has said that he would consider it, but only if the format lets him be true to who he is. That means no shortcuts, no stage drama, just the work. If that happens, fans will welcome him back without hesitation. But if it doesn't, that's fine too. He's already left his mark. His paint jobs still roll through the streets. His influence still shapes young artists learning the trade. Ryan's choice was not about giving up. It was about knowing his limits. There's something powerful in that. In a world where people are told to keep pushing, Ryan did the opposite. He paused. He listened to himself. He stepped back when the joy started to fade. That takes courage. Most people don't know when to walk away. They keep going, even when the thing they love starts to drain them. Ryan saw it coming and made a quiet exit before it stole everything he loved about his work. He didn't leave behind a press release. He left behind a legacy. His airbrush work still inspires. His videos are still rewatched. His name still comes up in forums, at shows, and in shops where artists study his style. What Ryan showed us is rare. It's okay to choose quality over speed. It's okay to care too much, and most of all, that it's okay to walk away when the work stops feeling right. Counting cars after Ryan left. When Ryan Evans quietly stepped away from counting cars, something shifted. It was not just the shop that felt different. The show itself changed. At first, it was hard to explain. The episodes still had loud engines, wild paint jobs, and that Vegas energy. Danny the Count Coker still walked in with sunglasses and swagger, and the shop crew still worked on cool cars, but the heart of the show felt lighter, like a weight had gone missing. Longtime fans noticed right away. Not everyone could say exactly what it was. Some just said it didn't feel the same. Others missed the quiet scenes where Ryan would airbrush flames or add tiny skulls into custom paint jobs. On paper, the show continued like nothing had changed until it ended in 2021. Danny still took in builds, made deals, and showed off his car collection. The rest of the team, Horny Mike, Kevin, and Shannon, were still around. They all had their charm. Mike brought the wild ideas. Kevin kept things running. Shannon stayed steady in the background. The team worked well, yet many fans felt something was missing. The truth is, Ryan was never loud, but he balanced out the noise. While others laughed or argued on camera, Ryan stayed focused on the art. He gave the show its soul. Without him, counting cars began to lean more toward entertainment and less toward creation. There were still custom builds, but the process felt quicker. The paint jobs looked good, but fans said they missed the depth, the little touches only Ryan used to bring. Forums, comment sections, and social media groups were filled with questions. Some fans wondered if Ryan's departure had changed the crew's vibe. Some thought the show became more about drama and less about the craft. Others were kind and simply said the show was still good, just different. No one blamed the crew. They were doing their best, but Ryan had left a space no one else could fill. Over time, a few new painters and artists were shown. Some were talented, some brought new ideas. However, they came and went quickly. There was never a true replacement. It was almost like the show knew it could not recreate Ryan's presence. So instead, they focused more on the builds and the deals. The art became more of an afterthought, which disappointed some viewers. A few fans stopped watching completely. Some stayed but skipped through parts, hoping to see even a short clip of Ryan walking through the shop. That clip never came. His absence was complete. No cameo, no flashback, no behind-the-scenes voiceover. It was as if the show moved on without looking back. To many, that silence hurt more than the exit. Fans had followed Ryan for over 10 years, watching his growth and witnessing him take on increasingly ambitious builds. Some people even got tattoos of his artwork. Having him vanish without a moment's goodbye felt cold. It left fans wondering if something more serious had happened. Rumors kept spreading. Some thought there had been a big fight behind the scenes, while others believed Ryan had grown tired of the pressure. A few even thought the network might have pushed him out to make space for new energy. Nothing was confirmed. Danny and the shop stayed quiet, and Ryan did too. Meanwhile, Counting Cars continued. It tried new ideas. Some episodes focused more on motorcycles. Others followed car hunts around Vegas. Danny still brought his passion. He still got excited over rare finds, yet the shop scenes, especially those about painting, were shorter. The quiet beauty of watching an artist at work was gone. Even the pace of the show felt different. In earlier seasons, builds took a considerable amount of time. Viewers could see the steps, including sanding, taping, and mixing colors. Ryan often explained why he chose one design over another. After he left, those deep dives became rare. Fans said the builds looked TV-ready instead of Ryan-ready. The show still had strong episodes. Some builds turned out stunning. The crew still cared, and that part never changed. What did change was the sense of balance. Without Ryan, there was no calm in the storm. The show had energy, but it lacked stillness. People kept asking Danny in interviews if Ryan would ever return. He gave kind and respectful answers. He praised Ryan's talent, and he never spoke badly of him. Yet he never promised a return. That silence felt like acceptance. Like, even Danny knew some chapters closed, even if you do not want them to. Behind the scenes, those who knew the shop said things were still good. The team stayed busy. Work kept flowing. Cars kept coming in and out. However, the vibe was different. Some said the energy was louder now, less focused. Others said it was simply a new era. Fans online kept Ryan's name alive. They posted clips from old episodes, they shared photos of his builds, and some even painted tributes in his style. It became clear that his influence stretched far beyond one show. Younger painters said they learned by watching Ryan. Custom shops across the country knew his work. He had left a mark on the world of automotive art. To many, Ryan was more than a character. He was a reminder that real talent does not need to be loud. His quiet approach gave the show weight. It made it more than just another car show. It made it feel personal. So when fans look at Counting Cars today, they still respect the team. Ryan's legacy was never about big exits or bold announcements. It was about showing up, doing the work, and letting the results speak for themselves. That is why Counting Cars, after Ryan left, was still good, but never quite the same. Ryan Evans, after Counting Cars. After Ryan Evans left Counting Cars, many people expected a big announcement or at least a proper farewell. Instead, there was silence. It was as if he had stepped off the set and disappeared into thin air. For a man who had once been at the heart of the show's success, his exit felt strange and unfinished. People who knew him well say Ryan returned to his own space after leaving the show. He began working on personal projects again. Some of these were quiet commissions. Some were just things he had always wanted to try but never had the time for. He also began helping younger artists, showing them the ropes without expecting credit. There was no crew filming his every move. No production team rushed him through each job. Just paint, metal, and peace. It is worth noting that Ryan did not leave because he hated the work. He left because he wanted to protect it. The pressure of television, the need to finish complex pieces in a few days for the sake of filming schedules, and the growing demand for drama had slowly taken something from him. Not just time, but meaning. What used to be personal started to feel mechanical. He was no longer creating for its own sake. He was racing against the clock, trying to fit his art into a tight time slot. Ryan has always taken his work seriously. Every project was more than a job. It was a story he wanted to tell with color, texture, and detail. His paint jobs had weight. They had emotion. Some were tributes while others were memorials. Some were just beautiful machines given even more soul through his hands. Losing that kind of connection was not something he could accept. So instead of changing how he worked, he changed where he worked. After leaving the spotlight, Ryan chose to live differently. He no longer chases large television audiences. He chases something simpler, freedom, calm, and the chance to create without pressure. He does not need to be seen to know he is still an artist. He knows it every time he lifts a paint gun and brings a design to life. His social media accounts, once full of show-related content, have grown quiet. However, occasionally, a new post appears. A close-up shot of ghost flames on a tank. A small peek at a mural in progress. A metal flake finishing, so smooth it reflects the sky. These images remind fans that Ryan's talent never left. If anything, it has grown stronger in silence. Some fans have met him at smaller local shows. They say he is calm and kind, always happy to discuss the art of painting rather than the business of fame. He does not travel with an entourage. He does not pose for attention. He stands by his work, lets people ask questions, and keeps things simple. Most are surprised by how approachable he is. Others say that even though he is no longer on television, he still possesses the same energy they saw on screen, focused, grounded, and quietly brilliant. Over time, Ryan has built a new rhythm for his life. He takes on only the projects that truly resonate with him. There is no need to please producers or worry about camera angles. If a project takes 2 weeks or 2 months, it is done when it feels right. That control has brought him a different kind of success, not one measured in ratings, but in joy. It is also worth noting that Ryan has never ruled out returning to television. In interviews and through people close to him, he has hinted that he might return one day. However, it would have to be on his terms. He has no interest in drama, fake timelines, or rushed builds. He wants to paint the way he always has, with care, purpose, and respect for the craft. If such a show exists, we may see him again. Until then, he is exactly where he wants to be. Ryan's absence has left a space in the world of custom car TV. Fans still talk about him online. His name continues to carry weight, not just as a painter, but as a person who stood for something rare, authenticity without ego. In an age where people chase attention, Ryan walked away from it, choosing truth over trend. For those who grew up watching him work, his story remains a poignant one. Young painters often mention Ryan as their inspiration. They learned not just technique from him, but patience and pride in doing things the right way. His steady hand and quiet focus have become part of the culture he helped shape. Ryan Evans may no longer be part of counting cars, but his legacy continues to roll on. It lives in the curves of a flame job, in the shine of a well-blended fade, and in the stories fans tell when they remember their favorite builds. Fame fades, but influence sticks. Ryan did not just build cars, he built trust. He showed us that passion can be quiet, and greatness does not always need a stage. In the end, Ryan Evans chose peace over pressure, purpose over spotlight, and truth over performance. That decision, more than any paint job or episode, may be his greatest masterpiece. Do you think he will ever return to television? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.